Welcome to That's Davis Show with executive producer Ryan Bukovetsky. Follow him at Ryan B. Ski and Ryan B. Ski 1. I am Kenneth Davis. Follow me at That's Davis. We got a lot of sports to delve into today and a lot of happy times. You know, I've had a pleasant few days. Yesterday I didn't do anything, but that was kind of cool. But Monday I got an oil pan leak. The nice guy at this Jiffy Lube over here on 83rd and Jeffrey, which shout out to the owners, is black owned. Service is always really good. Stopped me from getting the oil change because I knew I had a leak. I didn't know how severe it was. He's like, you got an oil pan leak. So my younger cousin works at Webb Chevy. Shout out to Webb Chevy on 94th in Cicero. And got the actual oil pan, but it ended up being the wrong one. But to make a long story short, put it in the shop at Webb Chevy. My other two cousins who were trying to do something to take care of my cousin's mother, which is his nephew. So even though we're awesome and kind of not too distant in age, it's my cousin and his nephew, but they're both my cousins if you get it. He's like, how old is he? He's like 8 or 9 years older than this. It's kind of like the same relationship with me and my younger brother. He's like about 8 or 9 years older than him. Actually, no. He has to be 9. He's 7 years older than him. All right. So anyway, he lives in Michigan. So we were able to come together. We went to this bar. Shout out to Tailgater on 92nd in Cicero. We damn near shut it down. But one of my cousins, right, he had never had a Long Island iced tea, right? My cousin lives in Homewood. Because we come in there, we're like, what's the special? They said Long Island. I was like, that's right. My other cousin who's closer in age to me who lives in Michigan was like, yeah, that's right. My cousin was like, Long Island iced tea is like, I never had one. That was always the ladies drinking. It was like, you just don't know, right? Mm-hmm. Dude, he was halfway into one and he was gone. Right? Gone. I mean, gone,
those
right?
Those are great and strong.
Yes, and economical. You know what I'm saying? It was a $7 dude.
Which is weird that it's called after Long Island.
Right, dude. I paid $56 was the tab. We bought at least 9 of those. My one cousin had 3. Yeah, my one cousin had 3, and the rest of us had 2. Right, we bought 9 of them. Deal. The waitress actually no. She charged us for 8 of them. She gave my cousin the one that works at Webb Chevy. It was his birthday. That's why I had the idea like let's go to a bar. He had never been to a bar, Ryan.
Oh my!
He's 28 now. He's 28, right? So he loved it. He was like, this is his best bar experience. But she took it. I gave her a fat ass tip because she was a great waitress or whatever. We end up kicking it with another dude that's a bartender that's there for another night. And then a guy that gets people FOI cards and stuff like that. Tommy and Raul. Tommy and Raul. The waitress' name was Amanda. Man, we had the time of our lives. Stayed there long enough for my cousins to sober up. Right, they start playing darts and they got sobered up. My cousin dropped me off. My cousin picks me up today. My youngest cousin that works at Webb Chevy, and he's a parts guy for them. So he drops the parts off in their pickup truck. Dude, I had to climb into this damn thing. Right, so this is an adventure. I mean, look. I'm not a short dude, right? I literally dropped out of it. Right, there's no foot pedal, a railing or whatever to step on. You get into this damn thing, right? So we go to Summit so he can pick up a part and bring a part back. I get there. For what I had was so cheap, basically, that I think I'm like, am I stealing? Because he gave me the price for the part, and he gave it to me when I was there Monday, and it was the part was supposed to be like $300 something. They were just going to charge me like $215. I'm like, cool. The dude Fabian, shout out to Fabian up at Webb Chevy. He was like, I'm gonna get you under this or whatever. So when I'm cashing out, I'm like, I think this is like a couple hundred too low, right? Like even if it was 200 more, I was fine with it, right? Cool, thank you. I hit my cousin. Well, listen, I don't want to get you in trouble, but this is the price I paid. Now I don't know how's it supposed to go. So check out or whatever. He hits me back about 2 hours ago. He's like, man, nah, you all good, right? And I'm about to take Afton's car up there. Listen, go to Webb Chevy and be nice. That's the thing Fabian pointed out to me. If you're nice to people do so. That's why I hit him up. I'm like, look, let me know because I'll send you this 200. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I enjoyed the service or whatever. And again, I'm not trying to get my cousin in trouble, right?
Right.
I don't think he would have gotten in trouble. But anyway, that was my last couple of days. Also better things, as you know, at NBC. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The official like a whistle. So those are things that have happened in the last 3 days. And just, the only thing was this, and I didn't bring it up when me and my cousins were hanging out. The only thing that was missing was my younger brother. My younger brother and my cousin, that's my other cousin's nephew, they're born like a week and a half apart. My brother's born a day after me, one. So my younger cousin's born like a week and a half after me, right? I didn't say it because I my thing is always to talk up good times. And sometimes you got to realize you can be the downer and you just need to shut up or whatever. And I just want to promote good times. So I had a great time with Willie, David, and Dentrell. Shout out to Dentrell. Happy birthday, Dentrell.
Happy birthday.
Had a great time with them. Nothing like spending some time with family. The older you get, the more important you realize it is, especially, the family where y'all can be cool and chill and relax and enjoy each other's company. So definitely shout out to them. Shout out to Fabian and Webb Chevy. All right. I'm just shout out to Dice, Michael Allardyce at NBC. It's been a lot of shout outs going on here, but you know what? It's time. Well, let me find out what you've been up to, Ryan. I'm sitting there, I'm not even finding out what you've been up to recently.
Yeah, I've had a little bit of a good spark, I guess, if you will, because I called my mom on Monday and just kind of voiced a lot of frustration that I've been having with like making money and this job, paying the bills and stuff like that. And I drove Lyft this past weekend, and it's a good little gig, but when you're already working 40 hours a week plus, and then you got to spend an extra 10, 12 hours working, like, I'm just like, man. So I'm talking to her, voicing this frustration, and I'm telling her while I'm driving that when I was driving Lyft, I was having some car issues. So I'm like, great. I feel like this thing is going, and I knew I'd probably have to get one next year, but the way things are going, is not looking too promising. And out of the blue yesterday, my mom calls me during like the day in the morning, and she never does that. So I'm thinking someone's dead. Like, I'm like, oh boy, this is bad. I call her, and I still get a somewhat inheritance from my grandma's passing 2 years ago. Another check came in, and now the car situation is resolved moving forward.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you. At least I got the down payment for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And now I have this security blanket that I did not have at all before. So I'm feeling a lot better about things.
Good for you, man. Good for you.
I had
Granny, look at Granny. Granny's still helping you out, boy.
Oh my
nothing
gosh,
like a good
I
granny.
couldn't
It's nothing
believe
like a great, not a great granny as far as she is literally your great granny, but a grandmother who is great. I had one of the greatest, if not the greatest grandmothers, two, but one that particularly raised me. And I will fuck you up if you say something about it. That lets you know, like, you can say something about a lot of people, but if you cross the line with my grandmother,
yes,
it's so warm, dog. It is so warm.
I felt like she was like looking down from heaven or something. Like, oh, you got some problems? Here, let me write you a check. That'll fix everything.
While we're doing family time, it's funny. My grandmother was the baby from all of her sisters, right? And it's like a 6 to 9 year difference between her and her last sister, who was my Aunt Ruthie, right? My Aunt Ruthie is one of my favorite aunts of all time, right? And I remember being in college, my Aunt Lenora, she would send me money, and I'm a college student, so I wouldn't really reply. And she would get upset with me, as she should. Yes. And I remember my Aunt Ruthie was like, boy, you ain't got no time. But the point is this. I would be dead to my last dollar. And for some reason, Aunt Ruthie would know to send me money. And it happened like 3 times. Right. I'm talking about broke. Like, right. Where's the money coming from? And I walk over to the mail center, and it's a check from Aunt Ruthie, man. Shout out to my Aunt Ruth. Her great granddaughter just got married this the other day. Shout out to them, all my Gully family. Shout out to all of them. But anyway, enough of that. So let's get to this show. All right. I know we can get random, and we're having a good time talking about family members. And listen, enjoy your family members, especially the ones that aren't stressing your ass out. I'm not out here to tell you to make amends, but don't be the ass. All right. Be the chill person And if you got to move them to the side because they like drama, move them to the side. But don't be the instigator, because it's easy to get into your feelings, be the instigator. Enough of Ryan and Ken's family values. It's time for us to go off top.
Off top.
Take it from the top, the tippy. Oh, my people. Listen, we were interviewing
Here's your
on
people for real right now.
Today, we were dropping from Under Center interview with Kaylin Jones, right, from The Ringer. Did I get it right, The Ringer? Yeah, The Ringer, right, from The Ringer. I apologize to that brother. And one question that I asked him at the end of the interview was, what the hell is wrong with Scottie Pippen from a national perspective, right? And he went on to say what I think most of us think. He said it's one of the smartest marketing employees that you could possibly do. So, all right, if you don't know, which you all probably know, but doing my host duties, I have to go over it. Scottie Pippen was on the Dan Patrick show the other day. Scottie pointed out that he thinks that when the Bulls were playing the Knicks, and Phil, I think it was the Knicks, and Phil wrote the last play to go to Tony, that it was racist, and talked about how long he had waited behind Michael Jordan, and that if the type of player he was, he finally deserves to take that shot. So let's address that. And then Dan Patrick came back and was like, kind of like, are you sure? You mean he's racist? And he was like, I was there. Yes, he's racist, right? And so Phil be like, man, I'm only designing plays for the whites today. I guess that's what Scottie's saying, right? Anyway, let me try to give you some a little bit of historical context to Scottie Pippen if you didn't grow up watching Scottie Pippen. As he grew, he became more secure in taking those types of shots. This is when Michael Jordan had retired. The first season after Michael had retired, the Bulls had the same exact record, I believe, as the season before, when they had won the NBA Finals, beating Charles Barkley's Phoenix Suns, right? But at this point, Scottie still isn't the last shot knocker down. When Mike came back, Scottie rhythm pull up coming up to the arc, since he handled the ball, it was pretty nice. He had a nice rhythmic pull up when he was bringing the ball up. You kind of didn't want to give it to him if it was a standstill jumper for Scottie, even though he got better with that. But the play was designed for Tony, because that year, Tony had already hit like 2 of those or something, right? Like, he early on has shown a knack for knocking down those types of shots. So that, in my opinion, you know what I'm saying? But Scottie Pippen was there. In my opinion, Scottie wasn't that dude. Like, listen, if we want to win, that's cool that you feel like that you've earned it. And I'll say this, had it been a situation where Tony wasn't there, and or you perhaps couldn't get a play that could get Steve Kerr open at that point, and I think, wait, BJ was still on that team, or even BJ, right? But for Scottie himself, knowing what Tony had kind of done, and I get that Tony is a rookie, even though he played professional basketball in Europe, but it's not even to the standards that European basketball is now. To me, you know what I'm saying, my man was bugging. But again, let me say this. There may be experiences with Phil Jackson that he's had that he's applying that to this, as far as he felt a racial slight and he's using that to say that this was racist. But me looking at it, I didn't find it racist, because I would have written that play up. Listen, I'll tell you this. If I was brave enough, I would have written it up for Tony, because a lot of coaches, it'd be easy for a coach to write it up for Scottie and be like, he's our best player, he's supposed to take the shot. You know what I'm saying? But at that point, LeBron James is one of Scottie's kids in a way. When it comes to the point forward, he's one of Scottie's kids, but also when it comes to making the right play. Scottie was like that player, the making the right player. And sometimes it was out of fear of failure, you know, like early LeBron before he got down there with D Wade and he didn't care anymore. You know, it's like when LeBron hit that 3 in the playoffs and you knew it was going in, right? Like, you didn't have that feeling about LeBron 15 years ago, you know what I'm saying, or 10 years ago. But now if LeBron takes a deep 3, you like, oh, snap, right? And I mean, Scottie never became that type of shooter like LeBron, but I felt that was wrong of Scottie. And then Scottie pointed out that the reason that Michael Jordan threw the ball to Steve Kerr, I think this is the first Utah series, final series, that closed it out, because Jordan hit the shot to close out the second Utah series, and that's how he should have left it, but he went to Washington. But Michael Jordan, I can't remember if he got doubled, and he kicks the ball up to Steve Kerr. And before they showed us, they didn't show us then, we found out later, there's video of Jordan covering his mouth telling Kerr, If they double me, I'm gonna come to you, right? And Kerr said, I'll be ready, right? Scottie said Jordan did that all for the cameras, which he may have done it for the cameras, to be honest with you. I can't refute that. And so, but I still would, I mean, I can't refute that he did that for the cameras. Scottie was there. Scottie knows what type of production was going down. He pointed out that they were sitting there making like "Come Fly with Me," all those Jordan video movies or whatever like that. But I'll say this. I still think Jordan would have thrown the ball to Steve Kerr regardless because he was open and Kerr could knock down that shot, him proving that he could be a clutch player. So again, I think Scottie was just blowing a little bit of smoke. Scottie Pippen lost his son recently. I know a friend of the show, BC, says that, Brian Crawford, that maybe, saying allegedly he has a little bit of a problem with the bottle, which I shouldn't even go into that. I apologize to Scottie Pippen. That's not even how I want to go to do my thing here. Forget that part. But still, if he is having problems with substances, maybe he should look and check out into getting a little bit of help. But again, he's trying to sell a book. He's trying to sell his new, I don't know if it's bourbon or whiskey, which one? It's bourbon. He's trying to get his bourbon off, which it is it must be so potent. Like it must got that extra on it. All right, put a little extra on it. And he must got a little extra on that, to say the least. But Ryan, what were your thoughts when Scottie Pippen started coming from the top rope?
When I picked up my jaw, you mean, after I heard the interview? I was just like, first of all, enthralled by how interesting that interview went. Like, there's a point where Dan is trying to like kind of talk to him, and they're not necessarily disagreeing, but they're kind of like going a little bit back and forth, and Dan's trying to get clarification, and Scotty's like, "Do you speak English?" Like that literally came out of his mouth. I was like, "Oh, baby, this is getting hot."
Scotty not taking any slander from you white folks.
Right.
I see right
now. Oh,
right?
man. He's like, Dan Patrick, who? I'm Scottie Pippen.
He dropped all 6 rings on the table.
It was, I felt like you. I think he was exaggerating a little bit with some of his things. Now, I don't disqualify it. I mean, we know Phil Jackson made that posse comment, and there's been some kind of like
about LeBron, Maverick Carter,
right.
and the whole crew or whatever, as far as saying that, LeBron has his posse instead of his business partners, which they are. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I mean, that
you
one was
get a little deface with some of the things Phil Jackson has done, where you're like,
And Robert Horry came to Phil's defense, saying that he doesn't think he's a racist, but there was one moment in the huddle where Phil told Robert Horry, "You got to listen to the master." And he was like, whoa to Phil, "I'm from down south." And Phil was like, "I didn't mean it like that." And they, in the article, they brought up the Zen Master, but anybody using their own nickname that somebody gives them like Zen Master is shady in the first place.
Right.
But I wish the MF would have hit me with, "You got to listen to the master, your master." Dude,
right.
Listen, it would have taken everything in me not to walk off that court right then and there from that type of disrespect. Do
we know like for sure that maybe the reason Scottie walked off the court isn't just the play? Maybe he threw in a "you better listen to the master" kind of thing?
I think Scottie would have told us if he threw it, "You better listen to the master." Also, for the context, so Scottie didn't come into the game, everyone. If you didn't know this, Scottie refuses to come into the game. Bill was going to have Scottie throw the ball out, inbound the ball. Scottie sits on the bench. Bill Cartwright implores Scottie, and then I don't know I know in the locker room, Bill Cartwright was basically like, "Man, I'm gonna beat your ass." Basically,
I think it was both.
Yeah. So it's even worse because yes, the play wasn't written for Scottie, but Scottie didn't even participate in the play. He refused to go in and sat out. And at that point, it seemed like the Bulls and Scottie was going to come to an end, to be honest with you, which luckily they didn't, because even if Michael Jordan came back, there's a great chance you wouldn't have had the right running mate to get 3 more titles. You know what I'm saying? Like, having the best tandem of perimeter players in the NBA at that time on both sides of the ball, basically, you know what I'm saying?
And literally like stretch forwards, like point forwards.
Long, and look,
really take care of it.
Long, people forget the length. One complaint was always when you had Pippen, Jordan, Ron Harper, was how long that perimeter of those Bulls teams were in length. Like today, it may not be as strange, even though shooting guard is where there's no, it's positionless basketball, but shooting guard, in a way, it's like that position is went away, and sometimes they're not as big as sometimes they were back then. But yeah, if Scottie would have been traded because of that, which he deserved to get out of town after that, it could have really changed the last 3 championships of the Bulls. Because at that point, we're almost 2 years away from Jordan. No, we're a year and a half from Jordan coming back at the end of the 96, 97 season. No, 95, 96 season, perhaps is what he came back for 15 games and they lost to Orlando in the playoffs. But anyway, yeah, it's wild buns, man. My man's look. I understand that he feels he's been disrespected throughout the years. There's a lot of people that don't put enough respect on Scottie Pippen's game. There's a lot of guys today that their games, they don't even know it's patterned after Scottie Pippen. Basically, there's a lot of guys. For instance, you look at Paul George. Look at how PG's playing. There's aspects of Scottie Pippen's game in what Paul George is doing right now when he's going at it. You know what I'm saying? But it's funny. Pip still has some of that aspects of when Paul George disappears in his game too. But when Pippen became older during this period of time, he really learned how to even affect the game. Like he may only score 15 points, but he's gonna have like 9, 8, and 3 steals. You know what I'm saying? And with a win. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So because even when they lost in that playoff series to New York on the Hugh Hollins controversial call on Hubert Davis, Scottie fouling the fingertips of Hubert Davis. Scottie had a game that series, and that series looked like the Bulls was going to lose, and the Bulls kind of turned it around. He had a game, maybe the game before that or 2 games before that they won. I think he only scored 14 points, but again, his stat line was ridiculous, and he affected the game. Even when Scottie came back to the Bulls with the baby Bulls, if you was a real basketball fan and you watched it, Scottie wasn't scoring, but man, Scottie was really affecting the game, and he was affecting it so well. They played him more than what he was supposed to on those bad knees, and that's part of the reason why he was done before midway through the season. You know what I'm saying? But high basketball IQ. But again, my man is going through it. Not even going through it, been going through it because people don't put him where give him the necessary respect he deserves for the type of baller that he was during the heyday of his career. But still, you gotta slow down, homeboy. You gotta. Yeah.
It just feels like he's out here burning every bridge.
Everyone possible. Listen, he doesn't have to worry about anybody coming to his Hall of Fame speech because it's always in right now. So it's just like, hey, we're not gonna meet up. We don't hang out. Think about it. It's like we don't hang out. Next time I'll probably see you. One of you guys is at a funeral. You know what I'm saying? So, and I'll bring the whiskey and everything will be cool. But yeah, my man.
And ironically, he's probably the closest with Tony Kukoc out of everybody.
Yeah, I mean they definitely get around. Tony's sitting there somewhere like.
I believe Tony showed up. I think he was the only one to the unveiling of his bourbon. I think that was the only Bulls player. Yeah.
Well, Tony gonna show up for some free drinks. I'm joking. If somebody else who doesn't get a lot of respect for their game or whatever, but yeah,
that's why he has to drink.
We all do. Yeah, you know what? Still talking about basketball. Let's jump into these playoffs. Unfortunately, man, it's been a ton of injuries. Can go back to saying it from the bubble and the shortened off season. But still, listen, I've always been leery of Giannis's legs and their uber length, right? And honestly, people falling around them, right? Like anytime I see him and people fall around him, I'm like, please don't. No, I'm kind of with LeBron like that, but Giannis is even longer and leaner and strong. But to see how his knee bent backwards yesterday, I didn't think he tore anything because you're luckier that it bends back than when it goes sideways. Because the ACL, you're actually bringing it in rather than when it goes sideways, you're doing this to it. So with the ACL keeps both of your upper leg and your lower leg straight. So they're not doing this, right? So they're stable. So you could tear it, of course, if it coming like that, but really side to side is how you get it. So when it went down like that, I didn't think he tore his ACL, but I did think he could have injured his meniscus. You know what I'm saying? Like he could have went through bone through that meniscus. But to see that the imaging came back positive and there's no tears in his knee. He's not probably going to play game 5. You got to be happy. Trae Young is out with an ankle injury. He's doubtful also for game 5. So now, hey,
they've elevated him to questionable.
Oh, really? He should listen. If he can come back, he should come back so they can close this game out while Giannis is out. Not saying they can't do it when Giannis is there, but don't give Giannis an opportunity necessarily to come back if he can only come back in a game 7. Just sit there and win the next 2 and get out of there in game 6. But yeah, it's definitely time on the Bucks side for Chris Middleton and Jrue Holiday, to step up. We've been on here raving about the fact that we like the fact they got a hard dude like Bobby Portis in there with them. You see the fact that PJ Tucker finally starts showing up in the last series against the Nets. Dude, y'all, you Mike Budenholzer, this is why you get paid checks. All right. Get Robin Lopez involved, either in the perimeter and in the low post. All right. You can get him on the perimeter to get everything open for Middleton and Holiday to go driving through the lanes, but also you can sit there and work and try to see if you get a double team and get an open shot for those guys around the arc. It's time. All right, Mike Budenholzer, you got enough talent on this team to get over, especially with Trae Young out. Like that's there. You both of your engines are out, but without your engine, you have better stars and more mature stars than they have. You know what I'm saying? So I put this on Mike Budenholzer. You should be able with Trae Young out to get past Atlanta. Actually, you should be able to get this game if Trae Young is in this game and then take another game, even if you have to split between the next 2 games and you go to game 7, because game 7 is going to be in your house. Even if you have to, this is what you need to do. All right. So I'm placing this on Mike Budenholzer, someone who has been questionable, his ability to adapt during games and during series. It's on you, man, because you got enough talent. Now, if this was last year where Chris Middleton was more questionable, all right, so it's on Chris Middleton too. Let me put this on Chris Middleton too. He was more questionable. Okay, it wouldn't be as much on you, but Budenholzer, you're still catching it. You got Middleton, who's a better player than he was last year. You got Jrue Holiday, is the best guard that you guys have had up there. If he's better than Malcolm Brogdon, you need to sit there and get this done and get past this series. Because I'll tell you what, if you don't, I don't care if Giannis is hurt, I'm looking at you. And I wish Rick Carlisle would have gotten that job. But I'm looking at you. I'm giving you side eye because you should still be able to pull us off with the amount of talent and basically just bringing in Jrue Holiday on this offseason from the Bogdanovich debacle. But you should be able to do this, and you got to do it.
Wasn't that kind of like you're fired, Mike Budenholzer, if you don't win this series after that last game? How unprepared and how terrible that team looked overall?
How long are you going to – you just accrued more money with Jrue Holiday's deal, right? How long are you going to let Mike Budenholzer not get the most out of this team, not find even a more efficient way in the half court to use Giannis?
I feel like they need a Tyronn Lue type, like a real X's and O's
problem solve.
adjuster.
Yeah, a true adjustment. That's what part of the reason I wanted to see Rick Carlisle there. Dude, you have to. And the problem is these coaches are getting snatched up, even though there's still some out there. But if they lose, and yes, Giannis out does hurt him in this, but it's just time. Like, you can't waste more premium years of Giannis not knowing what someone else can get out of those 3 players in Giannis, Middleton, and Jrue Holiday. It's time. Unfortunately, the easiest thing to change in sports is the head coach. It's the truth. And only sports you may not do that is football. Depending on who the quarterback is, probably. But these other sports, if you paid off all this money, the easiest thing to do is to bring in a new voice. And he's been there for a minute now, and they've had some playoff collapses. All right. What happened in the bubble last year was ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? Right. So, no, dude, it's that time. Get your ish together.
Yeah, and that would be such an attractive job. I would think a lot of people would just line up for that. I mean, you'd be one of the top contenders in the East before you even walk out the door or walk in the door into the building. I'm with you. I thought I was shocked. Like, I remember just talking about it with some people before that game. I'm like, do we even need to watch this game with no Trae Young? And then It's like, whoa, they're getting blasted. Whoa, Giannis is out. Like, what is going on here? And I'm with you. Atlanta, if you want to win this series, you need to win game 5. I think that is a must win.
You do. You should. Listen, I would say it would be, but I pointed out all those issues with Mike Budenholzer, and you may not need to because he may give it to you. You know what I'm saying?
That's
He may
true.
give it to you.
I mean, they gave him one already.
Yeah.
I know they gave him two.
Yes.
They gave him two.
Yes, dude. No. So look, man, that right there. I mean, the injuries right now in the NBA semifinals, they suck. I mean, the only team that's basically healthy, and that's with the player with, and your nose doesn't really affect you. I mean, if it's bleeding blood and you can't necessarily breathe through it, it does. Is the Suns, where you had Chris Paul with the shoulder issue, then the COVID protocols, you had the issue with Devin Booker, the forehead of Patrick Beverley breaking Devin Booker's nose. DeAndre Ayton has been healthy. Like, they're the healthiest team right now. Listen, what Paul George is doing without Kawhi is crazy. But also, I hate to say this too, it goes to show you the lack of defense with Phoenix. You know what I'm saying? Like, it does. Like, first of all, Monty, get the ball out of Paul George's hands. Not to say that sometimes you can't, because Reggie Jackson has been hot.
Ooh, baby.
Terrence Mann. Listen, talking about Ty Lue. Looking at that coaching up of Mann. Well, you got him ready for this period right now to do what he's doing right now. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and you lose. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on the center right now. You lose him right before Game 5, and just Marcus Morris Sr. will go small. Boom.
You're gonna lose Boogie Cousins a little bit more too.
Yeah.
So, dude, what Tyronn Lue is doing is phenomenal. But Phoenix should have taken them out. To be honest with you, like
especially
this should be
that last game.
Yeah, this game from last night. Whoever won, since we're recording,
God willing, it's the Clippers.
Why are you in Phoenix hating on the Suns?
Okay. So specifically, I am kind of hating on the Suns, but specifically this hate, you got to look at it from the party perspective. I need them to come back in for Game 7, which is going to be Friday. So this place is going to be lit. Everybody is going to be feeling the do or die emotion of Game 7. And so the party time is going to be phenomenal, because you either need to drink to cope or drink to celebrate. I want that energy. I want to feel that for Friday, but I am kind of rooting for the Clippers overall.
Dude, why not just, if you want the drink party time, why not just want them to be in the finals? Because then you get a whole other series.
Specifically this, you're right. No question about that. It's more so like, give me every possible game I can get.
Okay.
So this is like an opportunity. I want it. But to be fair, if I get it and they lose, then you lose that whole next series.
That's what I was about to say. Right? Like, what are you doing?
Tomorrow's not promised, Ken. I might not be alive for the finals. I need to live for today and Friday.
I mean, look, my prediction was the Suns versus the Bucks. And that was with the caveat that, listen, Trae Young can do whatever. He can pull it off and knock the Bucks out. It looks like it could go either way. I do think the Suns are coming out, but what PG is doing right now and Tyronn Lue is cooking up, how they have Devin Booker having to expend energy on defense, tucker him out a little bit. Man, they're doing their dizzle, man. It wouldn't shock me, but it's not. I don't think, you know what? I can't say that. I want to say I don't think in the finals they have enough. I don't think they have enough to beat the Bucks if Giannis is healthy. I think they may be able to beat Atlanta. I'm not saying they will beat Atlanta, but I think they may be able to beat Atlanta, which would be crazy. That if Paul George, without Kawhi, takes the Clippers to the finals and win.
Does he get the nickname?
It's Finals P. And this is after last year. We're sitting there talking about, man, Kawhi has another dude that can be an MVP with him, and then Paul George just wet the bed on us, rooting for him. But I mean, dude,
we were killing him.
Yeah, dude, if he could come back from that. Also, that's a lot to come back from in a media hotbed like Los Angeles. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a lot to come back from. My question is this to you. If they win it all, do you even re-sign Kawhi? Or do you go and look for that with that max to either get two players or a player that's healthier consistently to go along with Paul George?
Man, that's a great question because my first blush would be no, but you think about that knee. That knee is always a problem every single year, and we all know knees get worse every year. They don't get better. I would think you'd have to really consider that, especially if Paul George is able to get this team into the finals. Like, to your point, do you let Reggie Jackson go, who's a free agent as well? And if you have to pick and choose, like, man, Reggie Jackson is looking nice. And especially with this team, with his ability to shoot and go to the hole, he's a great number 3. Great number 3 if you can
But you
find
need a
another
number 2.
1.
So you may need to just bring Kawhi back and try to run it back and hopefully hope he's healthy. But you've seen what they could do without him, because you got bird rights on Reggie Jackson. So you can go into the luxury tax on Reggie Jackson. And Steve Ballmer don't care about the luxury tax.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a different type of owner right there. Be like, yeah, we got this extra 30 you got to pay. Okay, throw it on the bill.
Microsoft
You know what I'm
money.
saying? Yeah, so like it's just one of those things, because I mean, now that you know what you have, because I think what you need to, now I keep saying it the last couple of weeks, you need to run this offense, and I mean primarily as a playmaker, through Paul George more. And at times, definitely let Kawhi do Kawhi. You know what I'm saying? Because at times the offense is going to be stagnant, and that's when you need the killer like Kawhi. But Paul George right now is a killer right now too. So, and it's what you really want to see. But the ball movement is what I like seeing. Sometimes the ball gets stagnant when it's Paul George and Kawhi. You go, your turn, my turn, your turn, my turn.
And with this series, don't you just think when Paul George isn't like the primary ball handler, that Clippers offense kind of sucks. Like, it's very stagnant. Nobody's moving. It's usually like one pass really late in the shot clock, horrible shot. When Paul George has it and he's trying to be a playmaker, that offense looks so much better. So much better. And I thought for sure they were going to lose that game going into half based on how, like, quickly Phoenix closed the gap and just how awful Paul George, not that he was awful, but he wasn't playing very well. And then he took over that third quarter.
Mm-hmm. He had some sloppy plays too, as far as with his passes. He had a couple dumbass passes.
And a couple dumbass plays, getting frustrated because he didn't get some calls.
Oh, totally. Like that was, dude, you're too deep in the playoffs for you to let the heat of the moment perhaps get you tossed out the game, or at least get a flagrant, and it could lead to getting another flagrant later on. I'm totally with that. But see, that's the thing too. People know they can get up under his skin a little bit. He has to be a cooler player. But I also feel him because people have disrespected him a lot. You have Boogie Cousins today talking about he's one of the more gifted players, and the narrative that the bloggers have on him is all BS. And it's not all BS. You know what I'm saying?
I'm rooting for that guy hard, by the way.
I am, dude. Boogie Cousins is down 100. Not even that. He's down like 160 from what he could have gotten paid if his body didn't betray him. You know what I'm saying? And this is the thing too. I think some people root against him.
They have been since college.
And it's like,
for whatever reason,
I don't care if he's bristly. He's a guy that when he got really used to the NBA, was out there doing his dizzle and doing it nasty. He earned the right to make that type of money that he was going to be paid due to the work that he had put in and the extreme talent that he has. Also the skill that he has. He's a very skilled big. Listen, I don't care if he's bristly. I'm always going to have a bit of love for Boogie Cousins, one before he got hurt, but after he got hurt, and wishing him the best, because it's different from if Boogie Cousins had signed a contract and then that happened. I still feel bad for him, but I'll be like, at least he got his bag. You know what I'm saying? Right. But not to get your bag and lose. Now, there's no one's ever going to give him that type of money. You know, that's messed up. And if you're happy about that, man, a pox on your house, man.
See,
like, just
I think that's why I'm kind of like rooting for this Clippers team over the Suns. There's a lot of stories that I really like on this Clippers team, like Boogie, Reggie Jackson, Paul George. The Suns, like, I'd love Chris Paul and I'd love to see him get a finals and a win, but I'm not as attached to that team. Like, they're all so young and just up and coming. It's like, I'm okay with it not being their time right now. But with the Clippers, I feel like I'm a little more attached to the story.
I want CP3 to get a ring if Giannis isn't going to get one.
Hey, I don't hate on that. Like CP3 is definitely the casualty in my Clippers
Like
lusting.
to sit there and to go through everything he went through with the Clippers. All right, to like CP3 deserves the cherry on top. I heard Kendrick Perkins say that this is a legacy altering series that CP3 is in. Are you crazy? I mean, you can maybe raise him higher if he wins a title, but if you're saying that this could hurt his legacy, dude, his legacy's been cemented already. Now, either you don't believe he's necessarily quote unquote a winner, which is ridiculous because you look at the winning percentage increases whenever he joins the team. You can only ask a point guard to do so much in the league built off of giants. Like, let's be
5'10"?
serious here. You're like, dude, are you nuts? And it's
Right.
still giving you this business?
And 36, like not some young guy that you 5'10", I can just dunk on you or just score all over the place because of my speed and athleticism. Like this is all basketball IQ. This is
Right.
all just pure
Guile.
point guarding. Yes,
Exactly.
guile. That's
Dude,
perfect.
no. If you hating on this dude and saying the only thing this can do is improve one of the greatest point guard legacies of all time. All right.
I
Like,
agree.
Period.
And
There's only maybe 3 point guards, maybe that I would put above him. You know what I'm saying? So like,
I agree.
dude, listen, I love me some John Stockton. CP3 goes above John Stockton.
Oh yeah.
I
totally agree on that.
I love Jason Kidd. I still don't think Jason Kidd gets his props for what he was at his height. A walking triple-double that took a lowly Nets franchise to 2 back-to-back NBA finals, even though the East was weak. I mean, dude, he was a walking triple-double. He got Richard Jefferson and Kenyon Martin, Momo Cash, like that. So I think I would. I hate to say I think I would put him above, but I may not. Like that's where the barrier. He ain't going above Magic and Zeke. All right, like because he comes from the thread of Zeke. You know what I'm saying?
And Zeke's got the titles.
Yeah, but also at Zeke's height, I think Zeke is faster and more explosive than Chris Paul. You know what I'm saying? Before that ankle injury that he had in the finals, Zeke is faster and like. Chris Paul is sweet, but still, like just that. And we're talking about in the annals of basketball history.
Right. Like I love Gary Payton, but he would not be above Chris Paul.
No, he wouldn't be above Chris Paul. And I love GP too. You know what I'm saying?
You know, I want to give a shout out to Tyronn Lue too. I was thinking about this the other day. I can't believe he just went from head coach to assistant and then eventually got head coach again. Like that was a little bit of a robbery. This dude is a lot better than people were giving him credit for. They just gave LeBron all the credit for his coaching, which I get it. A lot of coaches have benefited off the coaching or the play of LeBron, but Tyronn Lue was not cut from those same cloths of his previous coaches that were just doing nothing with him. He is a legit ass NBA head coach.
Yeah, definitely. I saw Rachel Nichols on The Jump talking about how when he was an assistant for Doc in Boston, how Doc would lean back and ask him, "What do we do now?" And he quickly started to know that in very quick problem solving for this instance, he has a gift for it. And that's he says other coaches may be able to do some things he can't, but when it comes to really problem solving and making adjustments, is one of the best attributes that Tyronn Lue has outside of Allen Iverson disrespectfully walking over him and kind of sliding his nasty foot like he was putting dirt on the mat coming to your house.
And on top of it too, what do we say with coaches? We want them to be quick with their adjustments. Like that's your ultimate gift that you can give as an NBA head coach. No one looks at you for the rah-rah. Nobody looks at you for like the leader. Like they look at you for the ability to adjust and give us a position to win.
Look, not to say that it matters, but Tyronn Lue is human, right? Do you think that he looks at Allen Iverson, even though Allen Iverson has the fact that he's Bubba Chuck, he is a cultural, just huge icon. Cultural shifter, icon and shifter in the NBA, and just in culture even outside of the NBA. But I'm right here still doing it and getting paid, right? where your ass at when you disrespectfully walked over me like that? As a human being, I'm just saying, as a human being, like y'all like him and all, but what he doing right now? Sniffing around the big three. I'm out here going to the
about
finals.
this too. Like Ty Lue like, take that, walk, AI.
Right? So, dude, listen, he should, if he wins the finals this year, one of his players or somebody should run up with the old Sixers AI jersey and sit down and let Tyronn Lue step over him and dirty slide his foot like he's bringing dirt into my house. Disrespect, like Rick James impersonated by Dave Chappelle on Eddie Murphy's couch. They should have never gave you in money. Like, just like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what I would love to, just like you see that reenactment for a points bet that Allen Iverson does. And I mean, again, I hope the dude that he stepped over got paid a little bit of extra, but Tyronn Lue needs to get his revenge on Allen. I remember watching that game like, damn, because that's game one. I think that's because it was a gentleman's sweep between them and the Lakers. And I remember watching game one. He went off. AI went off. And when he did that, I was like, damn. And I forgot which team. I don't think he got drafted by Alexa. I forgot which team he came into the league on. Because he used to always stick out to me because he's tanner now, but how light Tyronn Lue was with those French braids or straight backs, as Jamel Hill would say. It always was like, who's this kind of guy right here with these? You don't look like you really grew up with braids like that, buddy. But like, so I always paid attention to him. But I'm like, ooh, that was. Listen, to be honest with you, I may have had to like grab AI's leg or something to try to start a fight. I just may have, dude, because it was when he put that foot down and scraped it. That's when it would have been like, oh, it's on like Donkey Kong. So again, shout out to Ty Lue, as you had just said, Ryan, because he's definitely done a phenomenal job. And he's proven that he's in the top echelon of coaches in the NBA. People just sometimes don't want to give that brother his props.
And you mentioned AI. I don't know if you caught Inside the NBA yesterday after that game, but yesterday was Craig Sager's 70th birthday, and they were showing clips of like that time when he was trying to get an interview with AI, and he's in the shower, like, I'm in the shower, and he's like asking AI to come out.
I didn't remember that.
Yeah, they showed some clips of Craig, and I didn't realize too. I don't know if you knew this. Oh my God, I'm blanking on names so bad. The true home run king in Major League Baseball, Hank Aaron. Hank Aaron. You know, Craig Sager was the one jumping in there when he broke the record in a white trench coat trying to interview him.
Yeah. Yes, I do.
Like, they showed some great stuff of Craig, and I was like, damn, I haven't thought about Craig in a minute. So shout out to him wherever he's at.
Yeah, rest in power, Craig Sager. All right, man, let's switch over to the boys of summer, especially with the two teams here in Chicago, the Cubs and the Chicago White Sox. We're
on sell mode up in the north side, baby.
Why are you on sell
mode? Well, I think at this point, it's pretty obvious. The Cubs don't have enough pitching. They have maybe enough to just kind of compete in the division, maybe make it somewhat interesting. But on top of it, what you see going on in the NL West out there, they're not catching any of those teams. So the wild card is done for the Cubs. The only chance they have of making the playoffs is that division. And I think the Brewers, with that staff, that pitching staff, and enough offense with Yelich and some of the good players that they have, I just don't think I don't think you can do it, especially with what we've talked about before. You have all this unrest with all these contract players. Like, you know how much of a haul you might be able to get for Craig Kimbrell if you trade him away at the deadline? One of the best closers in baseball right now, and there's a ton of teams that always need closers to put them over the edge. You know, I hate the idea of trading Chris Bryant, but if you really can't sign him, you could get a haul for Chris Bryant with what he's doing, his versatility, and that bat. You're telling me if you're a playoff contending team that needs that extra boost defensively and offensively, you can get a haul potentially for Chris Bryant.
Who's been slumping? I know he's hurt, but also been slumping.
Yeah, but I think his versatility that he's shown puts that slump kind of like, yeah, I mean, he might be slumping a little bit, but that bat still can play, and he can play all over the field. So,
right, totally. I'm not saying I wouldn't trade for him. Believe me, I'm not saying that I would not acquire said player in Chris Bryant. I'm just pointing that out. Yeah, I hate to say it. I mean, I've always kind of let me not say this. Part of me feels like re-sign him, and particularly him and Javi. And
that's who I want.
You can still deal them later. It's the thing. If they're both still young enough and not injury prone to the point, particularly with Chris Bryant, because that Javi hasn't been nicked up like Chris Bryant, but still, it's not to the level where you're like he's clearly injury prone to where even if it's not 100 pennies on a dollar, you can get 80 pennies on that dollar for both of those players. And it's better than to one, I mean, because they probably resign Javi, but to let Chris Bryant walk for nothing. Right. Like I listen, I'd rather be in the same and I can't remember the haul that the Cardinals got back for Aaron Arenado. But I would do that. I would sign Chris Bryant, and in the next 2 years, if it looks like we're gonna have to rebuild, he would be the key that I use to start that rebuild, because even if he's 2 years older and he would be like 30 then, he's 30 with at least 4 more good years before you're getting diminishing returns on that amount of money that he's getting paid. And you could use those controllable years that you have to entice a team to give you some premium prospects for a player of the caliber of Chris Bryant.
And Ken, this is on top of you let Kyle Schwarber go for nothing, who's dominating the National League in home runs and Major League Baseball. Like, you can't do that again. You can't do that again.
That's facts. That's facts right there. That's definitely, like, goodness. But I mean, again, I don't think I would have let him walk. But right. The problem, I wouldn't have let him walk, especially knowing that the chances of the DH coming to the AL are likely. Yeah, but how many seasons can you wait for that, though? Especially when you're playing a player.
It took $8 million to bring him back this year if they wanted him. $8 million. That's basically what you're paying Jock Peterson. Like, I get where they're coming from. We needed to maybe make some changes, get less swing and miss in our lineup, but man, that's why you don't just sell low on people.
I can remember Matt Spiegel of Parkins and Spiegel on 670 back in the days talking about Schwarber coming up, and it was like, this guy's like Babe Ruth, saying that jokingly, and that first streak he was on was so crazy before he got hurt. But yeah,
now he's on it again.
Yeah, dude.
In your uniform, though,
helping propel the Nationals. But yeah, I'm with you on the South side. We have a situation where should they go all in and push their chips to the center, or should they wait till next year, because this may not be the year, because attrition is set in. You know what I'm saying? We found out that Eloy is gotten clear to start increasing his training to come back, and Louis Robert, I'm sorry, I'm blanking out. He got his, and it'll take about 4 weeks before he ends up going to a minor league team to start his rehabilitation there. So now we're talking about August, basically. That, to be honest with you, you may not need to make a significant trade. I guess this is how I should be approaching it. You may not need to make a significant trade where you have to include a Garrett Crochet or Andrew Vaughn, so on and so forth, because you're getting 2 guys coming back that makes it look like you just made a trade for 2 studs, basically. But right. You still may need to power up that bullpen, because, and this is what we always talk about with year to year with bullpens, it looks good on paper, but you never know how it's going to shake out. Now, Michael Kopech has returned today, but when you look at Hoyer and Bummer and what you thought you had last year into this year, you know what I'm saying? And even when you look at Marshall, a lot of these guys just aren't doing necessarily what you look at the Crochet's velocity going up and down. Ricky Renteria's parting gift for us, injuring that kid on his way out the door last year.
Like, don't quit.
Yeah, I don't feel like I'm gonna be standing around here. I'm gonna leave something for you to remember me by. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you look at that, I don't know how willing I am to go all in with a premium pick, but I could definitely be wrong about that. I know I was on Sean and Maya, and I believe it was Patrick Nolan from Sox Machine was on there saying that, you know, next year they're going to be at like 117, 130 with the players that they have signed up, and how much further is Jerry Reinsdorf willing to increase the payroll. Now, to be all fairness, the Sox should be able to increase that payroll to 140. and that's still low.
That place is filling up.
Yeah, you should be able to. You should really be able to gradually get to 160, 170. Then I understand if you get to 170, start getting leery and want to bring it back down. But you should be able to go do that with the star talent that you have on that team. Even though some of those players aren't necessarily playing as well. Damn, Shohei Ohtani was pulled in the first inning. Snap, gave up 7 runs. Speaking of the home run leaders, as you was bringing up Schwarber. But yeah, that's my concern. Should they go all in when I'm afraid someone else is going to get hurt? Now, some people could say, well, that's why you need to go all in, because you need to have somebody to replace those guys. And these championship chances, I don't even want to say window, opportunities are small and few in between. How long, and this is a window, but how long has the Dodgers window been open and they finally did it, right? Like during the pandemic.
How long did we think the Cubs window was going to be open? And they got there once and luckily won it once.
Yeah,
but
luckily won it. So you don't know. But yeah, dude, I don't feel it. I mean, I could be wrong. It could just be being a Sox fan and necessarily always feel like the shoe is going to drop. The other shoe was going to drop. But I'm just worried about giving away some talent because I've already been Lou Brocked when it comes to he whose name should not be mentioned on the show that plays for San Diego Padres.
Well, I think some of the guys that the Sox are talking about, I don't think you really have to part too much, like an Eduardo Escobar or Adam Frazier. And those guys are ability to really play all over the diamond, which would be huge for them because you're hoping that you're going to get Nick Madrigal and the Louis Roberts and Eloy.
Nick Madrigal ain't coming back this year. I don't think Nick is coming back this year. I think he's out.
You're hoping to get at least 1, 2 of those guys back, and if you can replace one of those 3 with an Adam Frazier or an Eduardo Escobar, like I'm with you. I wouldn't give up too much, but I think that they do need to make a move. The really concerning part to me with the Sox is where is Jose Abreu right now? Because he is just getting injured and he is not playing that well.
Right, he's not. You know, I'll be on the Score tomorrow. I'll be on the Lawrence Holmes show around 1 p.m. Yeah, and
before this,
I know, right? I blanked out. I meant to tell you. I thought about it, but then I forgot. And listen, someone who wasn't a big proponent of re-signing Jose, Herb Lawrence, you know, he's looking right now. You know what I'm saying? But again, it was look at the season that they had last year, and that Jose being an older player having to go through and then getting ramped back up to go into this season. I mean, you got to think about the type of energy and focus he had to exude last year in that shortened season to get that MVP. I just give him a minute. He may be on his Paulie-ish, meaning he's gonna give you half a season and not a whole season.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
Give a great second half. That's all the Sox need. They don't need a great Jose Abreu to win this division, but I think they're going to need a great Jose Abreu to win it all.
But I do too, and I'll say this. If you get Eloy and Louis Robert back, now you're starting to release some of that pressure that's been placed upon Jose because he's probably trying too hard on top of slumping, right?
Yeah.
So
and
now
I think you need Robert back too because you need defensive help badly.
And you need the speed on base.
Yeah.
You know
and like, Lurie, you can put him out in the outfield and feel okay, but he ain't going to give you any pop whatsoever. At least Robert, he gets a hold of one. I mean, that thing can just go.
Yeah. So you need him back out of the 2, but it'll be great to get him and Eloy back this year. Hopefully they won't have these type of injuries moving forward. I hope this isn't regular. You know what I'm saying? Or
well, you said it, I think. Like, you just don't know in baseball. Like, this season looked prime for the White Sox to win it all when it first started. There wasn't even really much question. And then some of these injuries start happening. You're like, they still can, but and then you never know what next year is going to be like. 162 games. And
then the Astros came to town.
Oh boy!
Right, Cheetah stepped in and smacked you in the face. Yeah, I'm with you. So it'll be interesting to see what they do in this last month. Both of these teams with the trade deadline coming up at the end of July. I'll be fine if they don't give up a lot to get Frazier, and then you still have, I believe, you have a year of control over him, so you could probably play him in right as Adam Eden walks away after a 1-year deal. I'm with it. You know what I'm saying? I'm with it.
And if you're given like your 15th best prospect or somewhere between 11 and 15, and that's what the deal's centered around, like, go get some guy that's just going to walk after this year. If it's not a top 10 guy, especially if it's not a top 5 guy,
You
championship
never know.
windows are precious.
You're right, but you never know. You never know.
Yeah.
All right. I guess it's about that time then that we go up for grabs with Ryan B. Ski.
Conspiracy theory time. Get the conspiracy hats on.
Tinfoil top.
Yep, we got the tinfoil. There's a very interesting deadline coming up for the NFL, and that is the opt-in or opt-out based on COVID. The deadline is this Friday, and some are starting to speculate, wouldn't this be a terrific way for Aaron Rodgers to really avoid a season in Green Bay? Opt out, you lose no money, can't really be fined for anything because you've opted out. The only thing he could be fined for was that mandatory minicamp, if they're even going to do that, but they have to when it comes to training camp. That's in the CBA. They have to enforce the penalty if he misses that. This would be a potential way to avoid playing in Green Bay. What do you think?
When you first brought this up, I was like, nah, but then I started looking at the fact that he couldn't be fined for missing training camp. And what's that, like $50,000 a day? Now, even though this is a wealthy NFL player, all right? This isn't, I'm on my first deal, I'm on my rookie deal, or even I'm on my second deal. This dude is getting banked. He was just the highest paid player just not 2 or 3 years ago. But I'll say this: my only problem with that is he doesn't accrue a season, But I can discount that by, I think we both look at that. If he makes that decision, the outcome will be he'll be traded. Whatever team trades for Aaron Rodgers is going to give him some more money and guarantee some money. So it wouldn't, even if he doesn't accrue this season, let's just say if he stood out the whole year, which I hope he probably wouldn't. I hope Green Bay would sit there and just be like, you know what, let's get him off while the value was still high. Not saying that they would diminish that much if he's not out there playing these Aaron Rodgers. But I think there's a fear that if they let Aaron Rodgers do what he wants to do, then are we going to have the NBA in the NFL? So owners may hold it to right. Owners may hold them to it, and there's no true ownership up there. So I don't know if Mark Murphy's would listen to other owners in the league, or he's like, I'm gonna do my own thing. It's not my money. You know what I'm saying?
Well, until Mark Murphy can come down and throw the Hail Mary pass like Aaron Rodgers, he unfortunately controls everything.
So I think it's a great question that you bring up. It's a really good question. My only thing, and this is outside of Aaron Rodgers, because I don't know if he would do that. I don't think he's going to do that. But you know what? I can't say that. I think he would. I would think he's going to go to the 12th hour with Green Bay. As far as, listen, are you guys going to do something? Because this is leverage for me to sit here and do this. But I don't think he's going to pull that weapon out on them. What do you think
right now? Is he playing in Green Bay this year? Right now,
I think so.
My gut
and I would hate so. I would hate so because it's like, I love Aaron Rodgers, and it's like we all know that Aaron Rodgers is one of those people that you don't mess with. Like, there's some people like if you go left on them, they never let you get back right, and that's right. Aaron Rodgers, right? But while he's
ask his family about that too.
Right. But while he's being king petty, well-deserved petty though, and I think we jokingly are cool with people being petty. So I don't even really think necessarily he's being petty. I'm using that as a little cute phrase because he was disrespected. He was, even though his play had slightly went down, he was still a guy in the latter half of his prime that you should have put more weapons around him. If
Bears can call Andy Dalton, you can call Aaron Rodgers.
See, my issue with that is this. Aaron Rodgers still would have been petty if you drafted Jordan Love and moved up to get him. Even if you called him, he'd have been like, what? Why are you doing? Like, he wouldn't have been.
The trade up gets me every single time.
It wouldn't have still been like, cool, you know what I'm saying? So he would just be telling us, I'm not in their future, so I got to do what I got to do. He would tell us the same things, right? He just would have excluded the part that they didn't call me respectfully, right? Listen, I think he's going to play, but I don't want him to because I want him to hold to his guns. It's like, hey, you talking that talk, walk that walk. And I'm not even saying, and this has nothing to do with being a Bears fan. This has to do with like, I'm an Aaron Rodgers fan. And it's like, dude, if that's what you want, to show them that you're willing to go all in for it. So that's what I would like. Also, I'm about player empowerment. That's what I would like. And this is the thing, because people be like, well, he signed a contract. It's in a league where they can cut you, especially if you're a player like Aaron Rodgers. Now, of course, they wouldn't cut Aaron Rodgers, but if you're a player in Aaron Rodgers' situation, let me finish. I'm sorry. No, if you're a player in Aaron Rodgers' situation, it has no more guaranteed money. So it's not punitive on them if they cut you as far as dead cap money. You know what I'm saying? Now, this doesn't happen to quarterbacks as much, but it happens to all the other positions. But when you're in a league where we can have a signed contract, but you have an out, don't come and tell me when a player gets leveraged that he shouldn't take advantage of it, because this system isn't built on being fair. So you can't tell me the player has to be fair to the team. Now, what were you about to say? I didn't mean to cut you off.
I was just going to echo your point. Like, if he got a career-ending injury tomorrow, what would they do? Pay him the rest of the money?
Hell no. They'd be like, deuces, and then they would have faded away like them skits from social media, right? Like, no, they would have been out. So don't tell me, like in other leagues, if you're talking about the NBA and the NFL, where not the NBA and the MLB, where your money is guaranteed, right? If you're in that situation, the NH where it's guaranteed, then maybe we can talk about, being fair, because everything is closer to being 50-50. But the NFL, please, y'all, it's so out of whack with the fact of what teams get to do. And I know partially when you have such a league where it's so violent and injuries are such a huge part of it, it helps that you don't have to have guaranteed money saddled to players who are gone or injured. I get that, but it doesn't benefit the players for the most part, outside of the fact that these teams can get out from these contracts so their teams can get better quicker. So it helps them by generating revenue for the players, but the individual player that's hurt, it doesn't help whatsoever. You know what I'm saying? So that's where it's like, miss me with that. But I'll say this, I'm really interested here in Chicago what Eddie Goldman is going to do come Friday. Like, that's what I'm all in for. My concern is Eddie Goldman worried about COVID, or is there any type of underlying situation between him and the Bears organization? So hopefully there's not, and he's just taking as much time as he possibly can before he has to come in there with everybody. But on a defense that we were basically talking like we were getting a free agent, we were signing a free agent by getting him back. And now we're looking at that front seven not as being as stout as what we were expected to going into the season.
Yeah, that's a great point. I'm very much focused on the Eddie Goldman situation, but this Aaron Rodgers thing, I love it. I don't know why, but I freaking love it. And that trade up, every time we say it, I always think they got Jordan Love when he dropped to him.
Dude, that.
Oh man.
All right, what else you got for us as we
another conspiracy theory? NCAA, it came out, said players can now make money for their likeness. Obviously, the NCAA is very afraid of the legality situation that's growing more and more and more with more and more player empowerment. Is this carrot going to be good enough from the NCAA to slow that down, or how do you feel about this new move by the NCAA?
The NCAA could still make billions and have paid players, but wanted to be jerks and asses and take it to the nth degree, instead of just setting up a structure that's based on real life, which means everyone's not treated fair. And what I mean by that is, player 1 and player 12, you may not get the same compensation. One, if it's based on what the player can get off his own likeness, his name or image, you ain't gonna get the same anyway. But I'm even talking about increases in stipends and ways to pay players. Now the problem would be some players would be like, the coach is holding me back. Well, you got that in the NBA. Some players feel like coach didn't give them enough tick, and that may have affected their bag. You had Kwame Brown talking about that as far as how much money he may have made had he felt like Gilbert Arenas at the time wasn't getting him the ball in a proper situation. And he could have made he could have made Tyson Chandler style of money, right? Saying that he could have had something similar to that. But the problem now is you already have it set up to where you're about to open up the one and dones. You should have done this 8 to 9 years ago, to where you can say, well, listen, give us 2 years, right? In college basketball, give us 2 years. College football, depending, give us 2 or give us 3. I'm the only problem with that is just being physically mature enough to enter the NFL. But you could have set up college basketball to where these guys are getting bread off their image. You know what I'm saying? Even let them, listen, dude, damn near, let them get a shoe contract. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't even have to pay them. Like, we all know these colleges are aligned with shoe companies. Let them have a shoe, put a cap on the shoe contract number. All right. So let's just say, for instance, you can't have it. It ends after college. You hit the market again. So that way you can't, if it was on the up and up, you can't overpay them to get them to come to your shoe company, even though these kids are already going to these shoe companies since they've been in the AAU. You know what I'm saying? But still, there's so many more ways that you could have paid them off and still pay all these people to do what the hell do we know in the NCAA, right? That make millions. You could have held on to that, but now you're going to be in a situation. And see, this may not be like 20 years ago, I should say. This may not be like 20 years ago where the NCAA could still generate revenue with Adam Morrison and with what's his name that was going to Duke?
JJ
Redick. You know what I'm saying? Where, it was lesser premium talent, but the fan base was still there. Not to say the fan base won't be there, but we live in a world where there's a lot more options to do when it comes to your viewing hours. You know what I'm saying? So especially, and also these television contracts, they want some premium talent on these teams. A lot, and we live in a world now where, due to players getting paid basically under the table, you had a situation where a lot of players were ending up in places that historically didn't get top rate players. You know what I'm saying? Like, so what you're going to happen, those players aren't coming into the league, those type of one and dones. They're coming to the NCAA, those type of one and dones, they're going to be gone. You could have kept the whole bag. There was no reason. All you had to do was get this. This is the problem with people sometimes. Sometimes you got to give up a bit of the bag to hold on to the majority of the bag. All right. Like,
right.
And
not just
then,
bottom line, get every single dollar at all times.
Right. And then finagle ways to get pieces of the bag back throughout the long run. But that's all you have to do. And you could have kept college basketball with both premium talent and still kind of this college spirit, even though some people are like, they're getting paid anyway. Like, let's stop putting our heads in the sand and acting like these players aren't getting paid. They're getting paid. Get over it. They should get paid. What's wrong with you? You telling me if your son could change a coach's career and it could have went to high school, could have went from high school into the NBA, got $100 million shoe contract, even if it's just $30 million, depending on the type of talent that he is, that he shouldn't, because he decided to go to school and doesn't really need school. He's not staying all 4 years. He shouldn't be compensated for the revenue that he brings to that team into the NCAA. Are you mad, man? In America? Like, are you out of your freaking brain?
America.
That's the wildest ish. I'm like, dude, you know what you're really saying in your heart of hearts, all right? You just don't like certain people getting to that bag.
Gosh.
Because, dude, let me have a listen. Let Kenton sit there and have the opportunity. First of all, it's all blue chips here, baby. All right? It's all blue chips here. I'm not even that type of person and you paying us. All right? I'm for real. Dude, listen. These coaches make millions and $millions off of these shoe contracts, let alone the money they get from the university. All right, you telling me my son isn't going to be nice? Brother, it's not even about us as much. I'm trying to set him up in case things don't go right. Give us a couple million. I'm going to put this into a couple accounts for him in case he blows something or whatever. We got some for me and mommy, of course. But still, like, dude, you are nuts if you think in a capitalist society these kids should be taken advantage of in the manner they're taking advantage of.
I don't get that college fan base with the purity and the joy of the game. Like, miss me with all that BS. I don't understand it.
I hate seeing, not everyone, I hate seeing rich black guys out there play the sport.
Right.
It bothers me.
I don't want to work every day. School. He should get paid.
Right. I go to work every damn day, right? Like it's just to some people, that's the heart of it. You know what I'm saying? You
Like
still
Zion Williamson shouldn't make a ton of money in college when literally the entire world is watching every dribble of his.
Right. No, like how what you just said, somebody break down to us, and before you break it down to us, say it to yourself 10 times, and does this truly make sense in a capitalistic society? All right. Just don't say it because it's how you feel. I mean, is this just? Is this what fairness would be in a capitalist society, that these players get no compensation? Because I can say this: you want to play this game, all right? After his scholarship, all the money goes to him. From the jersey sales, from the television revenue, after you hit whatever amount that scholarship is, and mind you, he ain't even going to school the second semester, right? You know what I'm saying? He's out. He gonna do the tournament and dance. He's up, right? So if you're gonna sit there and say that, all right, at what's Duke? Maybe I don't know, Duke, like 50 to 100 million, probably 70 million a semester, something like that, maybe more. I don't know how much Duke is.
Yeah, or 50 to 100,000. I'm sure.
Okay, let's say all right after 100,000. 100, I'll be fair, 150,000. Let's just say for half of the semester before he leaves after the tournament, right? After 150K, he gets all the rest of the bread after he pays that back.
Duke would pay Zion Williamson 150K to come there.
Hold on. Let me tell you this. Duke did. Just Nike did it for them. All right, like Duke did pay him. All right,
it's totally okay for Coach K to have.
Right. Wait. Zion, Cam Reddish, and RJ Barrett just came there to be try-hard guys. Right.
They like Coach K.
They like Coach K. Right. It's that, and they could like him, but guess what? He's going to have to break that bread. Right. He's going to have to break. You have to give us something, right? Like,
you know why they liked him? Because he came in with the right offer on the table.
Right.
That's why they liked him.
And it's Duke, but like you said, the right offer. I got connections. I was coach of Team USA. I can get you to the league. You know, so all that, but there was still some coins being exchanged in that situation, to say the least.
And Zion was number 1 in Duke, right? That was his number. Yeah. Like, as if anyone's buying the plain Duke number 1 jersey because of some number 1 of years past.
Come on, dude. Like the point that you made on Zion, we forget how Zion was college basketball the season that he was there. Like, it was crazy that Zion, it was like, some of it was RJ too, but it was Zion being the planet that brought most of the gravitation to their way. But dude,
like, Zion was opening up shows like Dan Patrick. They only talk about college basketball when it's March. They don't talk about college basketball in December, months before, and literally shows are opening up about Zion Williamson.
Dude, you had a better draft class this year, right? And how many shows opened up talking about Kay Cunningham, Evan Mobley, you know what I'm saying, Jalen Green, Jalen Suggs. How many shows would open up doing that? And this is a better draft than them, right? But you saw what, so again, and listen, that's not to say that those kids don't deserve to get paid, right? I'm not even saying, but just pointing out that the inadequacy of how this whole setup is with the NCAA and how it goes against everything America is built on, you know, and I just wonder why.
Well, we want the purity.
You got, yeah. That purity part is the part right there. You can use that a lot of different ways.
Oh, one drop. Get out of there.
Exactly. It wasn't even a whole drop. Too bad.
No pay. No pay. I don't want it.
Oh, man. Listen, we always appreciate it. Please make sure you continue to listen. We'll be back with a flip probably after this week, or we may do one at the beginning of this week, but we'll hit you with a flip, and then we may do some different things with that, but I'll talk to Ryan about that. But listen, we always appreciate it. You can always find us every week bringing this show here. Ryan does an excellent job setting us up proper. Please continue to listen to us, and please don't do anything crazy, particularly during this weekend, the holidays. It's going to be hot. It's going to be raining in a couple places. On both coasts of the country is burning hot. But please be safe. If you're going to use fireworks, please be careful and know what you can use. All right, know your limits.
The fire's down too. Can we not have any fire instances with the fireworks? You know, here in Arizona, they're selling fireworks in places. I'm like, what the hell are you doing?
Hey, people got to blow stuff up. But anyway, we always appreciate it, and definitely have a good week, and don't do anything crazy before you hear from us again.